Justice Department officials on Thursday announced 17 additional felony charges against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, a move that was met with near universal outcry from press freedom groups. A grand jury in Alexandria, Virginia returned a superseding indictment charging Assange with conspiring with former Army intelligence officer Chelsea Manning to obtain, receive, and disclose national defense information in violation of the Espionage Act. He is also charged with publishing a select range of the classified documents that revealed the names of low-level local sources utilized by the U.S. government, including Afghan and Iraqi officials, as well as journalists, human rights activists, and religious leaders. These alleged actions disclosed are sensitive classified information in a manner that makes it available to every terrorist group, hostile foreign intelligence service, and opposing military, said John Demers, the Assistant Attorney General for DOJ's National Security Division. Documents relating to these disclosures were even found in the Osama bin Laden compound. This release made our adversaries stronger and more knowledgeable in the United States less secure. Everybody loves shadow government. The charges against Assange over the publication of those materials set the stage for a debate on whether individuals should be punished for releasing classified materials and whether such charges could have a chilling effect on publishers who get their hands on top secret documents. Demers sought to get ahead of suggestions that the U.S. is charging Assange for publishing information, declaring that the WikiLeaks founder is no journalist. Some say Julian Assange is a journalist and that he is immune from prosecution for these actions. The department takes seriously the role of journalists in our democracy, said Demers. Julian Assange is no journalist. But Barry Pollock, an attorney representing Assange in the United States, said in an email statement that Assange was charged under the Espionage Act for encouraging sources to provide him truthful information and for publishing that information. The fig leaf that this is merely about alleged computer hacking has been removed. These unprecedented charges demonstrate the gravity of the threat the criminal prosecution of Julian Assange poses to all journalists in their endeavor to inform the public about actions that have been taken by the U.S. government. I don't know why these people have all these little errors in their stuff. These are grown adults. WikiLeaks published hundreds of thousands of documents obtained from Manning, including information on Guantanamo Bay detainees, classified State Department cables in Afghanistan, and Iraq war combat guidelines. The organization called the charges madness, tweeting that superseding indictment marks the end of national security journalism and the First Amendment. Press freedom groups almost immediately decried the charges as an attack on the First Amendment and warned that they set a dangerous precedent for publishers and journalists. The Committee to Protect Journalists resurfaced on Twitter its past warnings about such charges, including its call to reform the Espionage Act to stop the law from being used to prosecute reporters and whistleblowers. The ACLU labeled the charges an extraordinary escalation of the Trump administration's attack on journalists and a direct assault on the First Amendment. And whistleblower Edward Snowden called the charge a declaration of war by the State Department, not on WikiLeaks, but on journalism itself. So I've read enough of this article, which is very, wow, this is how much further? Jesus Christ, they have a whole bunch of information. Here's a good article. I'm going to try to make my position on this be very brief. So there's a statement up here, and I've said before, I identify as a person who doesn't support either political party. Because of stuff like this, people have a weird tendency of taking the moment and pretending like nothing preceded it. So when I say that, I'm referring to the fact that the Espionage Act was used by Obama to jail journalists 6 times. This is not some new, created thing by Trump, but I find it hilarious that this group, let me go back down here, the ACLU, can say that the charges have some kind of bearing on Trump and his attacks on journalists. I'm like, you guys love revisionist history. You love being caught up in the moment. You don't like to look at the bigger picture and grander scale of issues. See, the biggest theme to me about the Trump years and the Trump tenure and the Trump era, whatever term you want to use to refer to the Trump saga, is that it's all of these horrible, terrible policies that were enacted by his predecessors being continued by someone who has a less appeal than, say, someone like Obama, for example. And for that reason, being outed and revealed to the public. The Espionage Act was terrible under Obama, jailing journalists that exposed his war crimes. and is awful under Trump. It shouldn't take identifying as a Democrat or Republican to admit that. I mean, again, in this scenario, when you have one of one party doing the same as the other from the other party, Democrat, Republican, what difference does it make? It doesn't. But people don't want to realize that because stuff like this takes away from them being intellectually lazy and saying, oh, you leaked our documents and the terrorists. No, we're going to do them. It's like, no, the point is you have a government that is not transparent, that is going out of its way to not inform you of what it's intending to do. That doesn't tell you, hey, those drone strikes we have, yeah, they kill 90% the wrong people. That doesn't admit to you, except in very small, little covered stories, that it killed between 2014 and last year 10,000 people that didn't do anything. 10,000 innocent people died over our drone strikes in a 4-year period, and very little fanfare by the news, barely covered by the media. Like, all of these leaks are designed to inform the public. And sometimes that includes letting stuff be known by people that don't have our best interest. But for God's sakes, I'd rather that than government by mystery. Maybe if you didn't bomb 7 countries like we're doing currently and like we've been doing for the last couple of years under, again, 2 different presidents from both major political parties, you wouldn't be so concerned about if people know about your military strategy. Like, damn, the U.S. picks a problem with every single person, every different entity, and then, suddenly that group or or those persons are now public enemy number 1 because they said or did something you don't like. Like, Assange can leak this stuff day after day after day after day, and you guys will get more pissed at him for the leak than what's in the leak. Like, let's pretend the Patriot Act, for example, right? This big surveillance state thing. Let's pretend that the full extent of what that does was like not known at all, right? And he leaks it. They'll be more upset by him leaking it than by the 4th Amendment basically being repealed. Like, they are literally letting their own constitution, their own little papers get ripped and put in shreds while they get upset over one guy. It's like, yeah, he put some papers out, but look at the people that did it. Like, take your head out of your behind. These 2 parties are not different. And they're exposing that. So, we're going further and further into the fall of journalism. People are going to continue to bootlick and suck off one political party just for favors and being closed-minded. And I've accepted that, and I'm fine with it because they don't have any power, and neither do I, and they're fine with being complicit with a crap system where we can let's review 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. But then while we spend over $700 billion on the military, and then we get told at home that we don't have enough money to raise people's wages. So just let that sink in.